This is a PC assembly video, and first we're going to start with the case, and in this case we're using a Cooler Master Storm Enforcer. This is a relatively new case, and the sole purpose of this is not really to do an unboxing, but rather it is a more of a how-to on assembling your basic PC. Alright, so let's start with the case so we can get the standoffs in the right position for the motherboard. Alright, so we got our little screw out of there, and there's the case, and we have a box with accessories that came with it. Let's see what we got here. Have the quick fasteners for the drives, adapter bracket, standoffs and screws in this bag, and looks like some basic instructions on the standoffs, and it looks like a SSD adapter for standard there. And let's see, what's this say? Standoff socket manual. Find socket from fitting pack, install standoff by socket, and then screw it down. Oh, okay, that's cool. So you don't need a hex wrench, you just use the screw adapter, and you can use a regular screwdriver. That's neat. Alright, so here are the specs. If you want, you can pause and look at those. And here is what you get in the fittings. Alright, and looks like a good case. Cooler Master Storm. Alright, well let's match up the mounting holes for the standoffs and prep our motherboard to put in there. Okay, now we moved over to the decks. This is the Asus P8 P67 Pro. It has very good reviews on it. So let's get it out here. It's an anti-static bag. Looks good. And got manuals. The cover we're going to need has some adapter help you connect the lights and the reset and the power button, the speaker. It kind of helps you do it away from the motherboard and then just plug that into the motherboard, I assume. SLI connector, USB 3.0, SATA cables. I'm going to use the USB 3.0 that's on the case, and I'm only having one video card, so I don't need that. And that's it. And this is the new B3 revision, and P8 P67. It's good motherboard. Alright, and here's what you should be getting with the motherboard. The Q Shield, they call it, these 2 serial ATA 6 gigabit a second cables, 2 serial ATA 3.0 gigabit per second cables, the SLI bridge, the quick connector kit, the 3.0 bracket user guide, and the support CD. But you know, you can always download the latest drivers from their website. I don't recommend you use the CD. And it just has instructions and basic information in there, how to install a CPU and the memory, things of that nature. Alright, that's that. Let's go look at the processor. Alright, and I recommend you attach your wrist strap, and you can't really see it too clearly. Let me show you. Has a guide that tells you an index of where to put the standoffs, and they already have some standoffs in there, and of course designed by Cooler Master. And it tells you for ATX use A, B, C, D, E, F, J, K, and L. So let's see if that matches up. Alright, here's the brass looking standoffs that we're going to install, and you really don't have to worry like you did before about having to put the motherboard over the holes and making sure they match up, because they have the easy guide. So let's see if this guide works. and it says do A. So we take our standoff and we can hand tighten it down. And it says B. We got B, C, and here's C. There we go. And we have three left over. Now this is the coolest new addition. I've never seen this before. It's an adapter, so you can tighten them down using a Phillips screwdriver. So get my Japanese industrial screwdriver and tighten these down. I don't see the really. It's not really crucial getting it ultra tight, but just get it snug. Snug is fine. So now let's see if our standoffs match up. Of course, make sure you have your grounding strap on. And here's the motherboard, which smells amazing, by the way. And let's see if these match up. And they do. We got one here, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. What's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9. Okay. So, where is... There we go. Let's put this in there. Wow, that actually snaps in very, very nice and snug. It's very impressive. And it kind of has some foam there, which gives you some, excuse me, good grounding contact, which is good. So let's do our test fit before we have our CPU in there. It's a little harder to handle when you got the weight of the cooling fan and heat sink. So let's do a little quick test fit. And we look good. Now, since our case does not have a removable motherboard tray, we're going to add several components with the motherboard out of the case. With the motherboard, you just put on a flat surface, and you unclip the arm that holds the CPU load plate in place, and you flip back the arm. Like so. This will lift the load plate out of the way. And you'll now see I need to remove the protective plastic tab that covers the pins in the socket. Now, the one ASUS uses requires you remove it from one side first, and others might need you to, grab from both sides. But don't throw it away, because you might need it if you need to return the board to the store, or you need to return it to the manufacturer. They will not accept it if you don't have that tab. So, also do not touch any of the gold contacts in the socket. Bending one may kill the motherboard. So remove the cover by lifting this tab only, it says. It has a little picture. Let me try to zoom in on that for you. Oops. So remove the cover by lifting the tab only. The cap must be placed if returning the motherboard. It says it right there. So let me get my hand out of the way. There's that little tab they're talking about. And there we go. So you want to keep this in a safe place. Okay. Let's take off some of these stickers. We don't need that. It just tells you, it's new. We can put that on the back of the manual if you want to keep it. saying how it has a Bluetooth module on board. That's kind of cool. You could hook it to your Android phone. And there's a little bit of plastic here you should probably take off. There we go. And that looks like we're ready. Let's go on to the next step. All right, here's our CPU. It's a LGA 1155 socket, and this is the i5 2500K. It's a good midline processor. You don't have to spend a heck of a lot of money, and it's a good value. So this is the one I chose. And there's a little factory seal right there. You got to cut open, like so. And there you'll see the processor and the heatsink. And it already has some thermal paste on there, so I'm going to try it out, see how the thermal paste does. I'm just going to use the stock everything. So let's try to see if we can get this out of here. There we go. Now we probably don't want to take this off until we're ready, but you can see the stock thermal paste they put on there. So let's keep that covered. And looks like these are little, they're done there by hand. You don't need any special tools to screw that down. Seems you just push it down and it locks into the motherboard. So that's pretty quick and easy. There's the processor. Let's see if we can get it out without damaging it. Okay, so there's a latch there, and you just kind of push that tab in, and this kind of swings down, like so, and then it comes out. There you go. There's our processor. And of course, just make sure you're grounded. And if you look, you'll see there's a couple notches on the chip, and there's also the indicator that shows you where pin 1 is, and you line that up to the motherboard. And you just hold it parallel to the socket, and you just gently lower it in place. And just make sure you line up those 2 notches. And then you fold the plate down and lock it in. So let's go ahead and do that. All right, so now let's install the CPU. And we got it in the case here still. So we're very carefully going to open it up, and we're going to try not to get any grease from our fingers on the heatsink portion. There we go. And has some good weight to it, actually. It feels pretty heavy. You can see those little notches there, right there, and one on the other side there. And you'll see the little gold triangle there, and that should match up with that little dot you see there. And you can see the notches matching here. You want to make sure you don't touch these pins. You don't want to bend or break or anything. So we're just going to very carefully make sure we hold it parallel and then lower it down. So let's go ahead and do that. So that went down amazingly smooth. I had to pause it because my head would have been in the way anyway, because I wanted to get down there with it. But it's a ZIF socket, which means zero insertion force, and it is exactly what it says. You don't have to push down anymore. It just kind of lays on top and just floats there. So you just go ahead and close this, and you can see it makes solid contact with the shroud of the heatsink. And then just kind of lower it down carefully. Just make sure you're really not in those notches and you got this right. And if you don't, you'll know it. So just kind of lower that down. And then gently slide this shut. And there we go. Now it's pushed down and locked into place. So let's go on to the next step.